Many people lately have been searching how to leave their country and where they want to go. If you are thinking about leaving your country, there's an awful lot of things that you need to know before you pack your bags, buy your one way ticket, and jet off to some faraway land. My name is Eva, and this is Women Blazing Trails. I am currently living in Guatemala. I am originally from Canada, and I left my country 9 years ago. Here are a few factors, the deciding factors that made me want to leave my country and how I ended up here in Guatemala. An awful lot of viewers ask me, how did you end up there? What made you choose Guatemala? What's your life like there? And a lot of people also want to know many important things like the cost of living, the quality of healthcare, and how many expats, and so much more. So I'm going to go through quite a few. Going to try to answer as many of your questions as I possibly can and give you enough information so that you feel confident and well equipped and have enough knowledge to go ahead and book that one way ticket and leave your country behind and jet off to your new life. So, when I decided to leave Canada 9 years ago, it was quite a few years in the making and in the thinking because I live in Northern Ontario, so in Sudbury, Ontario. So to put that into perspective for you, that is about 5.5 hours north of the New York border. So we're quite up there. And winters in Sudbury are brutal. And the last winter that I spent in Sudbury, the temperature hit a record high or low of minus 55 degrees Celsius. And I think after minus 32 Celsius and Fahrenheit are the same. I think they're equivalent. So it was effing cold. And I thought, I don't need to be here anymore. I don't like winter. I don't like anything about it. Cost of living was getting high, and it's even much higher now. So there's just a lot of factors that made me decide to make the decision to like, okay, it's time for me to leave Canada. I don't want to be here anymore. So as a single woman over 50, I was 52 years old at the time when I decided to make that decision. It was very scary. I had never done anything like this before. I've never traveled solo. I've never done anything as scary as just like, throwing a dart on the map and packing bags and moving to another country. So it was very terrifying, but I was determined to leave. Without it, I was determined to leave. I was going to do whatever it took what to make my dream come true. So I had went on a volunteer mission trip to Costa Rica for 3 weeks, and that gave me a little taste of life as an expat, if you will, or immigrant. Some of us would call us immigrants. I guess that's what we are. So that gave me a taste of what life was like in Central America. And I knew at that point then, when I returned to Canada, that it was Central America that I was going to go to. I didn't know what countries were in Central America. I kind of suck at geography, so I didn't know what countries there were. I didn't know anything about anything, literally, and I didn't do any research whatsoever. When I returned back to Canada, I knew that I was going to go back to Central America. Which country was undecided and when was kind of undecided as well. So it was in May of 2015, I believe, I went on my volunteer mission trip. And by October the 4th, I landed here in Panajachel, Guatemala. And a lot of people ask me how I chose Guatemala. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about that first, and then we're going to get into some of the things that you need to know before you do decide to pack up your stuff and leave your country. So, not knowing anything about Central America, any of the countries, the safety, the cost of living, the climate, I didn't know anything. So I enlisted the aid of a tea leaf reader, which AKA psychic. I did that because it was September and I had already downsized all my belongings. I had already given up my apartment, all my furniture. I'd given up probably at that point, I'd already given up about 75% of my belongings. So I knew I was gearing up to go to Central America, but I still didn't know what country. And this was September of 2015. So I enlisted the aid of a tea leaf reader, and I said, "Hey, look," I said, I'm getting to leave. Oh, sorry, there's a little bit of noise. Sorry, I'm at the lake. I was getting ready to leave. I said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to leave Canada. I'm moving to Central America. I don't know which country I want to go to. I really don't know anything about many of the countries in Central America. Can you help me decide what country to choose? So she literally said, pick the country with the funkiest name. So while I was chatting with her, I pulled up a map of Central America, and Guatemala sounded like that was just a cool, fun name. And I said, like Guatemala? And she says, that's where you need to go. She says, you need to go to Guatemala. I'm like, all right. So the conversation ended, and I went to internationalliving.com and I did a little bit of research on Guatemala. I narrowed it down to the Lake Atitlan area. There are 11 or 12, I should know this by now, and I don't, 11 or 12 towns around the lake, and I chose Panajachel. And that was 9 years ago, and I'm still here. This place is pure magic. It doesn't come without its challenges, but for the most part, I choose this over my little town or my city in Canada any day of the week. So some of the things to know before you decide. Don't be a diva. Don't just throw a dart on the map and call a psychic and tell us, hey, where do I gotta go? You really should do some research. I did zero, practically zero. One of the very first things that you should do, if you have a few countries in mind, like maybe you're thinking of Mexico or a city in Mexico, or maybe you're thinking about Asia or Europe or Spain or whatever. So narrow it down, do a little bit of research. I went to International Living because I find that that is a very valuable resource. They have tons and tons of blogs about countries, so many blogs from countries all around the world. So I found that that was the best resource. Very, very great in there. So narrow it down. Once you've narrowed it down to one or two countries, then even narrow it down a little bit more and find out which cities that might interest you in the least bit. So maybe you want to go to, I don't know, maybe you want to go to Mexico. So is San Miguel de Allende better for you? Is Lake Chapala better for you? Is Oaxaca better? Like, check out those cities. And once you've narrowed it down to the cities that you think might be suitable for you and your lifestyle, then I want you to join Facebook groups. Go and find Facebook groups for those towns, they're expat Facebook groups, and you'll find them. They're everywhere. Go join a Facebook group and start asking questions. That was by far that was the best thing I ever did, because once I narrowed it down to Panajachel, Guatemala, I joined a couple of groups and I asked a bunch of questions. And no question is a stupid question, because we've all been here, starting at zero, moving and not knowing anything about anything. So you're going to get trolls that are going to say, answer your question with ridiculous answers. Just ignore them. You will find very helpful people, because expats do genuinely want to help other expats. So once you've joined Facebook groups, asked all the questions, here are some of the things that you should be asking and finding out about the city that you've chosen. You want to find out about healthcare. Is healthcare good? Is it good quality healthcare? Is it affordable? Can you get your medicine here at the pharmacies? A lot of the pharmacies I'm going to use Guatemala for as reference, simply because this is where I live. And I did live in Mexico for a year as well, so I can use that as well. So some medications you can't get here. Most medications or prescriptions you can get, most medications you can get without a prescription, but not all of them. So find out, once you've joined these Facebook groups, find out if you're a certain medication, can I get it? How easy is it to get there? Find out about the cost of living. How much does it cost to rent a studio apartment? How much does it cost to rent a 3-bedroom house that's air conditioned? We don't have air conditioning here because we don't need to have air conditioning here. Where I live, the temperature usually sits between 24 to 28 every day, all year round. Morning, and that's Celsius. You can do the conversion. Mornings are a little bit cooler, evenings are a little bit cooler, but during the daytime, that's what you can expect, 24 to 28 every day, all year round. So, weather is another thing that you want to find out about. Do you want it hot and humid? Do you want to be by the ocean? How close to the ocean do you want to be? Can you handle rainy season? Because here we have rainy season, and it can be quite torrential. It can be, it's 6 months of just rain every day. So can you handle that? So you have to look into things like that: the weather, affordability, housing. What can you expect for $500 a month US? What kind of things come? Or is it fully furnished? Does it come with water and gas and electricity? Do you have to pay those extra? How, if you do work online still, can you get good internet? How much does that cost? So those are a few of the things that you really need to look into, especially if you do work online, or if you still want to have a little bit of the finer things in life while living in Central America. So medication is important, healthcare is important, affordability is important. I mean, it was important for me. Maybe it's not important for you. You also want to look at safety. How safe is it? Do you have to, lock everything down every day, all day? Is it pretty safe? Can you walk the streets at night? What's the vibe like? So you want to find out about safety. How safe is the country that you are thinking about moving to, or the city? So so a little bit of I should say this before. If you go on Google and type in how safe is Guatemala, well, it's going to come up and it's going to tell me that Guatemala is not safe. They have a high murder rate, blah, blah, blah. Move there. But the town that I live in is actually so safe. So that's why it's important to don't do so much Google research. I encourage you to do Facebook group research, because that's where you're going to get the truest answers, is in the group from people who actually live in the town that you're thinking about going to. So if you do any Google research, take it with a grain of salt, because they said Guatemala was really high murder rate, blah blah blah. It turns out that Guatemala does have a high murder rate, but it's mostly domestic violence. It's husbands killing their wives, and that's sad, but that's what it is. You can Google that, because that's a fact. So find out about safety. Find out about an expat community. Is there a community there where you can make friends? Is there, is it more expats to locals? Are the locals and welcoming to the expats? Like, find out about that. Can you make friends? Is it easy to make friends? Maybe that's not important to you. Maybe you don't want to make friends. I don't know. So find out about the expat community. Another thing to find out about is, if you are having a medical emergency, how close or far is the nearest hospital? Here we have a hospital. We have little hospitals and clinics in our town that are fairly decent. I've been to the clinics many times. The nearest hospital is 20 minutes away. There's a private and a public. And then after that is the city, and the city is 3 hours away. And depending on traffic and road conditions and weather and all that, the city could do 3 hours to 6 hours. I mean, if there's roadblocks, I mean, it all depends on all kinds of things. So find out about that, the nearest hospital. You also need to find out about your visa, your tourist visa. How long do you have to stay in this town before you have to leave? Because here in Guatemala, we have a 90-day tourist visa, and I am still on a tourist visa. Shh. So every 90 days, you have to leave for 3 days, and then you can return. You just have to get your passport stamped. So you have to find out about that. Do you get residency? If you pick a city or whatever and you go there and you love it, find out about the resident. How hard is it, or how easy is it to get residency if you decide you want to stay there? How much does it cost? Is it to find a good lawyer? These are some of the really important things I find. Most of the questions that people have asked me, those are most of the things that people want to know: affordability, healthcare, expat community, and all of that kind of stuff. What's the food like, things like that. So really do that kind of research. And I also encourage you, and this, I did not do this, but I encourage you, if you have the budget to do so. Let's say you have a few countries in Central America in mind, but you haven't quite narrowed it down. So go and spend a week. Let's say you've chosen Oaxaca in Mexico. Go spend a week in Oaxaca and walk around, ask some of the people, find expats and ask some of the people some questions. Go to Nicaragua if you found a city in Nicaragua. Go to these places, spend a week or a few days and get a feel of the city or the town that you're thinking about moving to. Ask around and, talk to some of the locals, talk to some of the expats, find out a little bit more information that way. But mostly feel it out. And I know when I first came here in Panajachel, so, sight unseen, I didn't know Spanish. I do know now a little bit, I'm about 75% fluent in Spanish, which is generous. So, find out, is there, if you can't speak Spanish, is there a good English speaking community? What do you need? That kind of thing. So when I first moved down here, it was really overwhelming for me and it was very, very scary for me. I did make some friends in the Facebook groups that I joined, a couple of Canadians and a couple of Americans. So I made friends. So when I came down here, I already had some contacts, and I think that's very important to try to make contacts with people in the Facebook group. So once you get down to the town that you're thinking about, you can hook up with these people and they can show you around. They can show you places that are great, show you the places to avoid, show you where all the great restaurants are, like all of that stuff. I think that's very important. Also for entertainment, do you go out every weekend and party and dance? Can you, in the town that you're going to, where are the good bars, where, like, all of that. So there's a lot to know before you decide to pack up and leave your country. And these are just some of the things that you need to look into that I didn't. But I'm kind of ballsy like that, I guess. I don't know. I just left. I was just tired of Canada, and winter was coming, and I had to get out. So I hope that answered some of your questions, some of the questions, and I hope that this information is very informative and did give you all the answers or more information that you need before you decide to leave your country. Um, I'm going to show you. I'm going to turn the camera around here a little bit. I'm going to show you. So I live down at Lake Atitlan, and it's kind of cloudy and hazy right now, but I chose Lake Atitlan because I really needed to be by a lake. The city that I live in Sudbury, we have 300 lakes. So I couldn't imagine not living anywhere where there wasn't water. Like, I just couldn't do it. So this is the Lake Atitlan. It's really, really beautiful here. I love it. Let's see if I can put my camera back down the right way. Probably not. So, oops. Anyway, so that's all I got for you. If you have any more questions, please drop them down below. Um, and I think, and a lot of people, I don't know, I just want to finish with this. A lot of people are scared of doing something like this because it is a kind of a brave, ballsy move. But if you're already thinking about it, like if the seed's already been planted in your head, just do it. Like, don't even think about it anymore. Like, just start doing your research and getting your eggs ready and start downsizing and decluttering. Like, just start doing it, because moving down here, like, I felt I came alive once I moved down here, because being in Canada, it was expensive and I was stuck in a job that I didn't like and I felt trapped. And it was just a different life. So here I feel very free. I've never been happier in my life. It's just a much nicer, it's just a much quality of life. It's just everything. Like, I love it. So anyway, that's all I got for you. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can ask questions in the comments. I will answer them, all your questions, as best as I can, to give you as much information as you need. And so before I go, I just want you to know that I do upload videos every Sunday, and they're usually motivational and talk about life over 60. I do a little bit of travel videos, and I do upload the random short few times a week. So just hit the notification bell and you'll always know when I have uploaded a new video. That's all I got for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Goodbye from sunny Guatemala. I love you.